What's happening? It's Christian Suprean, and I hope y'all are having a blessed, amazing day. I know I am. When you live with Jesus as your guide, my friends, every day is blessed. My friends, today I got my good friend, my brother from the UK, right? Matt Moore from Matt Moore on Tour on YouTube and Open Media One on Telegram. Great patriot. And I say patriot, even though he's not from the United States. Patriots are all across the world, in my opinion, right? If you're out for truth, if you're out for humanity, then you're a patriot, right? And I guess you could be a patriot of UK or patriot of the USA or, whatever. But a great guy. And what's happening, my brother? What you got?
How you doing, bro? And thank you so much for getting me back on the podcast. Really love that introduction as well. And yeah, I agree. I think we can all be patriots or good for humanity, no matter what country you're in. And really appreciate you letting me come on because, as you know, I had that question that I asked you, and it literally comes from different people having different beliefs and the same main truths. I did a video the other day on it. And as I said, when I asked you this question originally, we said we need to do a podcast on it because the answer that you were giving me, I said I'd rather talk about this live because the similarities that so many people have, even though they've got different beliefs, and specifically the same main truths, just sparked, your videos, other videos that have come out have just sparked me to do that video and also sparked me to ask you that question, what is a kingdom ambassador? So that was the question I actually asked you. So I'll hand the mic back over to you so you can answer that for me.
Right. Well, exactly. And in order to understand what a kingdom ambassador is, right, you kind of have to understand what a kingdom is. And so I did something since I knew we were going to be doing this, right? I did something over the last few days that I normally don't do for a video. And I put some notes down because this is such an important subject, in my opinion, and has been missed by so many, right? That I wanted to make sure that the message got out the right way. And before we go into a kingdom ambassador, right, we kind of need to know what a kingdom is. And for one, a kingdom is not a religious thing. Right? A kingdom is a territory. And the way a kingdom is defined is a governing influence of a king over his territory, impacting it with his will and purpose and intent, producing a citizenry of people who express his culture and reflect his nature. That's what a kingdom is. Okay, so it's a territory, all right, and it's owned by the king, all right. So when we talk about the kingdom of heaven, right, people automatically go to religion, right? But the kingdom of heaven,
that's what I did.
Right. So that's what you do, right? When you hear somebody talking about the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of God, you automatically go to what? Religious, right? Religion. So I am starting to believe that religion has got it, I don't want to say wrong, but kind of misconstrued, in a way. And that's why I personally say, and I know that's why you asked me that question, because I did a video, I think a few weeks ago, saying I'm not religious. I'm a kingdom ambassador, right? And when you're a kingdom ambassador, you are working for the kingdom, right? So when Jesus first came and started preaching, his first thing that he said, okay, when he first started preaching, Matthew 4:17 was, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is here. Okay. So he said, repent. And a lot of people think repent means to ask for forgiveness, right? But Repent actually means to change your ways and to change your thinking. That's what repent actually means, right? It doesn't mean just to ask for forgiveness. Because if you just ask for forgiveness and keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, are you really sorry for what you're doing, for one, right? But so when you repent, you change your ways, you change your thinking, right? And Jesus was talking to people that were following different, waiting for the prophet or for Jesus to come, right? So he said, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is here. And as I said, a kingdom is not a religion. It is a government authority influencing a territory, which that government authority is a king. All right. So the kingdom of heaven, you got to look at it as a territory. You don't look at it as a religious place, right? You look at it as a governing territory. And this is going to get it. I mean, this gets exciting to me. Like I've talked about this with my kids, and Dr. Miles Monroe is where I'm learning a lot of this from, right? And I've watched some of his videos with my kids, and my kids are like, they're 18 and 20 years old. And they're like, this is the most exciting thing I've ever heard. They've been going to church all their lives. But now they're excited about learning about Jesus, but not in a religious way, if that makes sense. All right. So is this making sense so far?
Yeah.
All right. So just to expand a little bit more on a kingdom, right? So Dr. Miles Monroe is from the Bahamas. Okay. And when Dr. Miles Monroe was born in the Bahamas, they were actually a territory of the Kingdom of Great Britain. All right. So when Great Britain, like 300 years ago, maybe even a little bit more than that, went and took over the Bahamas, right? The people in the Bahamas were speaking African, were basically hardly wearing anything because it's 95 degrees out there. So they're just wearing their bare minimum, and doing their own thing, right? Well, when Great Britain came and took over in the Bahamas, they needed to now colonize the Bahamas like the Kingdom of Great Britain. That's what kingdoms do, right? So they colonized Great Britain. I mean, they colonized the Bahamas to start wearing suits. Now, in the Bahamas, they wore short pants with their shirt and ties and jackets, right? Instead of long pants. I mean, that's all they basically did different, but it was 95 degrees there instead of, in Great Britain, it's a little bit cold, it's cooler. And at times, I'm sure it's much cooler.
Yeah.
But so the kingdom, so they started wearing that. They started drinking tea, right? They started at 9 o'clock in the morning. At 9 o'clock in the morning, they would have to praise the king every day. This is while they were still part of the Kingdom of Great Britain, right? They drive on the left-hand side of the road like they do in Great Britain, right? And different things like this. So Great Britain colonized the Bahamas to be like Great Britain. And that's what kingdoms do. And that's what the Kingdom of Rome did, right? And that Kingdom of Rome was the very first kingdom that actually did that, right? And that's why Jesus came back during that time. Because before Rome, people would go and take over a territory, or they'd go to battle with a territory. They would destroy that territory and bring the people back and make them slaves in their own country, like in the country they would take. So that would just be, that would just say, use it as right now. United States goes to wherever, right? Wins the war, destroys that territory, and brings that certain people back to the United States to become slaves. That's what they did before Rome. But once Rome came in, right, Rome would go and they would win a war. And instead of destroying that land, they would colonize that land as Rome. So that land would become Rome. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you look at the kingdom of heaven as a territory or as a country, and what God created us, his children, to do, we are supposed to colonize. We, as kingdom citizens or kingdom ambassadors, are supposed to colonize the earth with the kingdom of heaven. Most religions teach you to wait to go to heaven, right? You're doing all this stuff, you know, a lot of people think you got to suffer a lot of times, you know, you got to do this and do that. And yeah, there's going to be suffering in this life, even living as a kingdom ambassador or a kingdom citizen. There's going to be things, but you're going to also understand that that is part of your journey. It's part of your story to help others. When you start to realize that, you know, when something like adversity comes into your life, you kind of get excited, right? But so basically, so we were created to colonize the earth with the kingdom of heaven, right? And most of us, especially religious people, wait to go to heaven. Well, in my humble opinion, we are supposed to be experiencing heaven here on earth. I'm not even sure how much God wants us in heaven. Okay. I'm not saying that we don't go to heaven. Okay. When we die, but we were told. So Philippians 3:19. Okay. And this is talking about the other people, right? At first, there are people on earth and a lot of, you know, even religious groups they could be talking about here. Their destiny is destruction. Their God is their stomachs, and their glory is in their shame. Their mind is on earthly things. So these people, what they're talking about here, are living in a lower, according to a lower level kingdom, according to earthly things, right? How many people do you know that just live life just to make a living? That go to work just to make a living, that go to work just to be able to eat and live and not really do a whole bunch other than that. I mean, that's a lot of people in this world, right? But our citizenship, this is the end of it, right? But our citizenship is in heaven. A citizen is a legal creature. A citizen is not a religious person. A citizen is a legal creature. And basically a description given to a person that belongs to a certain state or territory. Okay? Is this starting to make sense? Right? So a citizen is a legal creature. So this is telling us that we are citizens of heaven. And we've all heard that before, I'm sure. I mean, because in religion, you will hear that we're not, you know, from earth. We're here on earth, but we're from heaven. Well, if that's the case, though, right? Why, if God wants us in heaven, why wouldn't he just kept us in heaven with him? Why would he have created the earth to send us here? I believe he created the earth so we, his children, can dominate the earth, can rule over the earth, not over each other, but over the earth through him, or him through us, right? Working through us. So we're citizens of heaven, right? The Bible specifically says that our citizenship is in heaven. So if we're citizens of heaven, and the Bible also says, right, in 2 Corinthians 5:20 says that we are therefore Christ's ambassadors. Okay. So if we're citizens of heaven and ambassadors for Christ, right? And now I'll get into a little bit more of an ambassador, right? To sanctify, right? Let's just talk about this, because an ambassador is somebody that is sanctified to do a job, right? So to sanctify is to set something apart for a specific use. Ambassadors are sanctified or a sanctified person. They are set apart only to represent their government. Okay. So a kingdom ambassador represents the kingdom of heaven here on earth. Does that make sense?
100%. 100%. And this is what got me thinking when you gave me that answer and I said, we've got to put this on a podcast, because the amount of different groups that I followed and spoken to, people that believe in the universe, source, God, angels, Jesus, all sorts of different things, energy, they all do the same thing. They all want the same thing. It's about creating heaven on earth. It's about creating the joy here, and all of those groups do the exact same thing. And I know we're going to talk deeper on this, but that's what got me really sparked. And I know you've studied a lot of these things as well, positive thinking, you know, even at The Secret and all sorts of stuff. You went deeper than that as well. So, but it's the correlation with, it's the exact same thing. It's literally about creating it. And sometimes maybe that's one of the biggest tricks that's been pulled over our eyes. It's not just to be divided up and actually have the same beliefs, just a different label on it, but to have it pulled away from us, that we can actually do that we can actually create a good humanity, a good place to live, you know, where we're helping each other. And like you say, not rule over each other, but rule over it. And you see, even the words that they use sometimes, like rule, it gives you a sense of commanding over something. And it's not about that. It's about flowing with it almost. And you can tell where I sit on everything. It hits a bit of everything, from the universe, the source, faith, but it's pretty much all seems the same to me. Right. It really does. And that's the bit that got me excited when you actually gave me that answer. And I'm really glad you went into even more depth with it then, Christian, because, oh man, I hope people watch this and they realize that there's so many similarities. And, you know, just from you saying that and us discussing this the other day, it should give you a lot of hope that there's, you know, we are the majority, all of us, right. You know, and I love that about the ambassador part as well, and the description of the ambassador, because that's what we all are doing in our own little subgroups. That's what we're all doing. We're ambassadors of humanity, ambassadors of the kingdom, ambassadors of what we want to create here. And that's why I love your videos, mate. I really do, because they're just so positive, so vibrant. Even your political ones, you know, they still give you equal at some points. But honestly, I'm so glad I asked the question. You know, and it's just a nice, innocent question to ask. Were you religious? What is the kingdom ambassador? And I'm just so glad we did this. But sorry, I'll pass the mic back to you again. But
don't be sorry at all, man. I want feedback, you know what I mean? Because then I'm gonna be able to go to different things, and I want to just touch on a couple of things that you just talked about. So quickly, first off,
quickly, another thing I need to just quickly interject something that I remembered when you were speaking. You also talked about the people that perhaps could even be here now, even religious ones that operate in a world where it's a lower world. And that is exactly the same as what's described with people that look at source or the universe, and they describe those same kind of people who are describing living on a lower frequency or a lower vibration. You know, that it's uncanny, the similarities between these different things that we believe, and we've all got that same main truth. So yeah, I just wanted to interject that, because that's the exact same description as what's used for people who are spiritual, you know, into vibrations. It just covers that there are people that almost thrive off that lower vibration, and that's exactly how you described it there.
Exactly. And I mean, that's from right out of the Bible, man. And the thing is, it's not that, because I mean, of course, we're living on earth as well, right? And it's not that they're living their lives according to earthly things, when we are supposed to be living our lives according to, heavenly things. We're supposed to be living our life here on earth, but not having earth dictate our lives, right? We are supposed to be dominating, right? Not each other. We're supposed to be working together, each other, right? Because we're all God's children. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ. And see, a lot of people, they're like, but all you've talked about is religion today, right? No, I have not. I talked about a kingdom today. Go throughout religion, and yes, there is some people, and in the Bible, there's kingdom everywhere. I mean, it's basically all Jesus Christ taught about was the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God. All right. But go throughout religion. I've been going to church every day. I've talked to quite a few people about this that's been going, not every day, but all my life. I've gone to church at least once a week for the most part, all my life. I've never heard somebody focus on the kingdom. And I believe, like I said, it's because we don't understand what a kingdom is, because we all live in democracies or republics, right? And so we don't understand that kingdom concept, right? Democracy, right? In a democracy, the people choose their leader, right? Or in a republic, the people choose, they vote on their leaders. In a kingdom, the king chooses his citizens. It's totally opposite, right? But on earth, a earthly kingdom, right? Like Great Britain was, you had to be close to the king. You had to be all this and that and all wrapped up in the like do different things to get the king's attention to become a kingdom citizen, right? We're all chosen. It's up to you to say, okay, I'm a kingdom citizen. I'm a kingdom of heaven ambassador, and live that lifestyle, right? That's another thing about religious people. A lot of religious people live that lifestyle for one day or maybe even a half a day. I know that's how I used to be. I'd go to church. First half of my day was about church and about God. And the second half of the day, I'm watching football all day long. I haven't thought about God again, right? American football, right? But this is a lifestyle, but it's a freaking awesome lifestyle. Because when you start seeking the kingdom, things just happen in your life that's just, it'll blow your mind, right? It'll blow your mind. But another thing I wanted to and also just to touch on this, since we're talking about religion a little bit, religion is division, right? I've said this for a long time. This was before Miles Monroe, but as far as Christian religions, my research shows there's over 7,000. Some people say there's over 30,000 Christian religions. Now, how is that even possible when it's all about the same God? And here's the thing. The other thing is that, okay, if you want to have 7,000 of them, fine, right? But the thing is that happens in religion is that this religion thinks they're better than that religion. So then they fight and they argue why mine's better than yours and yours is not as good as mine, and boom, 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 boom. And guess what that causes? Division. I've seen when I was a kid, Catholics fight against Lutherans, like almost getting into fistfights, not throwing blows, but I mean, getting into it. I've seen Baptists go against Protestants. I've seen this go against that. Like I've seen this when I was a kid. If I go to communion and you don't, who cares how you praise God at church for once a week or whatever it is, however many times you go to week? Let's praise God together without worrying about if I go take communion and you don't go take communion, right? Or if I do this and you do that. Can't we come together and praise the God that we all praise together instead of fighting out about how we praise God? But when you take, in my opinion, when you take religion out of it and you start talking about the kingdom, it gets exciting. And you want to learn the kingdom. And that's what Jesus said. Jesus taught about the kingdom. He said, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is here, right? He also said, this is later in Matthew, I can't remember exactly where at, might be like 634, but the disciples were all worried, right, about what they were going to eat. They were off somewhere and they didn't know what they were going to eat and this, that, and the other thing. And Jesus said, why are you worried about what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, where you're going to live? Why are you worried about these types of things, right? The Father knows what you need. And you are with me. What are you worried about? Why are you worried about these things? But seek first the kingdom, and all this is automatically given to you. He told them, don't worry about stuff. If you seek the kingdom, if you seek first the kingdom, all the stuff that you're worried about, earthly things, will be given to you. Because the Father, the King, knows what you need, right? And then just to touch on something real quick about source, right? Because I know there's a lot of people that talk about source and energy. Well, here's the deal, my friends. We call God our Father, right? In Hebrew, Father is Abba. Well, guess what Abba means? Source. Abba means source. So however you want to look at it, right? And I just got God bumps just now when I said that. All right. And here's the thing. There's two things in this world that could totally change everything, right? For one, God bumps. If they wasn't called goosebumps, which is ignorant, what the heck is a goosebump, right? If they were called, because I know it's because I guess they got bumps on themselves or something, like on their legs. But it's God bumps. When you get goosebumps, you're either hearing something, there's something going on that God's trying to get your attention. He's either confirming what you're saying is right. You're either listening to, like if you get God bumps when you're listening to music, you're listening to God, one of God's gifts. Like you ever listen to music and you get God bumps, right? That's because that's God's gift to that person that you're experiencing, right? And then coincidence. And I think they made coincidence up for a bunch of reasons. There are no coincidences. It's God communicating with you. God saying, hey, I'm trying to get your attention. You ever thought about somebody and next thing you know, you see them in a gas station or they call you on the phone, you ain't talked to them in 3 years? That's God saying, hey, that's me. I just told him to give you a call because you were thinking about him or talking about him. Or y'all cross paths, all kinds of different things. But coincidences are not coincidences. That is God, right? So every time a coincidence happens in your life, just say, thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, God, right? And the more and more and more, the crazy part about it is the more and more and more you acknowledge little bitty things, big things start happening in your life, right? But does that make sense, my brother?
Oh, bro, 100%. And I'll tell you something else as well, that everything you're saying makes sense. But as you know, for me, I would kind of class myself, I suppose, a bit like a Jedi, which when I heard how Jedis were described, it was a mix of different religions and different faiths and different spiritualities. And I'm going to tell you something, that it is a mix for me of all the books I've read and the things I've studied, and most importantly, my experience. But it's all the same. It's all the same. Like, I love that description of the Hebrew word for God being source, because that nails it. That absolutely nails it. And I have had those experiences where I've thought of people and they've come. I've had even more deeper ones than that. I mean, I wouldn't say I pray in the way that as people have been shown religiously, but I'm always putting out thoughts, I mean, I believe in angels. I can't give you any logical reasons for that whatsoever, apart from my own experiences, my own findings and things like that. But everything you describe, it's source, it's God, it's divine, it's, you know, it's the energy, it's the universe, it's source. It is source. It is so simple. And so, you know, when you've just described it like that, and you look at all these other different things that have, no matter what's happened in the world, they've all found their way back to source. Or that may be the actual trick and for real when you think about it, because they've literally tried to stop that. And I can't logically explain what that is. I just can't. But things do happen. And you said when you start focusing, you get the little bits and then the big bits come. I mean, I've practiced that. People who know me know that I've done some absolutely out there things using The Secret or the Law of Attraction or source or divine, or, you know, and I've gone deep into that. And it's a thing. I mean, it starts from the very basic. If you think positive, you'll attract positive things. If you think negative, you'll attract negative things. I mean, everybody knows that's something that happens. And the source, everything you described there, everything that I know many people have studied, spirituality, the yoga, the kundalini, everything is literally source. And it's just fascinating how many different things have actually sprung up from source. I didn't know there were 7,000 Christian religions. So that's crazy. That's absolutely, well, it's not crazy. I suppose people have just decided they wanted to start their own thing because it didn't. I mean, listen, as long as everybody ain't fighting, it wouldn't matter if there was 7 billion different,
that's the work
groups.
of Satan, right? I mean, that's the work of the devil, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It's just the fighting, isn't it? And it's, you shouldn't, you know, when everyone peels it back, this is what we're discussing here. It's the same thing. Source, it's source. It really is. I mean, and that's what I found when I studied religions, and I have studied all of them. And I've been so fortunate to have had a lot of friends from different races, different religions all my life. I've been really fortunate in that regard. But I've studied them, and when you peel them back, they all start with the same seed, the same core. It's all about split a rock, you'll find me. You know, be good, source. It's all within you, not without you, and it's all very much that core is exactly the same, no matter which religion you go through. And I'm calling it religion, but I don't believe they were religions to start with. I believe these were faiths, much the same as what you're describing here with the Kingdom Ambassador. Perhaps a group that started up that just said, you know what, we don't need a priest to go to. We don't need these people to go to. We don't need to keep paying them taxes and donations. We can start our own. So, you know, perhaps that's what's always going to happen, no matter how hard religion pushes and how hard they try to divide us. Perhaps it's always going to break and get back to what it is, because, like it or not, you know, for I know they don't want this to be happening, but all of these groups that I'm describing, spiritual, universal, faith, Kingdom Ambassador, like everything, it's not working. You know, they're not arguing with each other. They're not fighting with each other. They're all sharing the same message. They're all being positive, you know, mostly. They're all helping each other. You've seen the communities growing on Telegram. You know, there's a lot of spiritual ones that I follow. There's a lot of consciousness ones. There's a lot of ones that want good for humanity. And it's all it's not working, you know. It's not working, whatever they've done, because they've just literally subdivided people up and made them even stronger units somehow. And literally, they've just got a different label for that energy that they're putting out there to source, or to the universe, or to the cosmos, or to God, or to angels, or to, do you know what I mean? It's right. The exact same thing that's happening. And somehow I can't, you know, not to get off this subject and onto another one quickly, but with all this, what's going on in the world and the nonsense, I'm so suspicious. I really am, bro, because I can't help but think that this is all part of it. And they talk about, well, they're trying to separate you from God and trying to separate you from this and trying to do that and trying to, you know, get everyone clamped down and all this stuff. And it's actually having the opposite effect. And, you know, I know we're going to discuss this as we go further on, but the smartest minds in the world would have surely known that. You know, surely they would know that this would happen. And we spoke about this the other day. There is no doubt in anyone's mind that if you look at today and you look at when all this nonsense started, there are more people awake to corruption in governments, leaders lying, mainstream media lying. There's more people awake to that going on now than ever before. Especially,
I mean, it's not even close. It's really not even close.
Exactly. So surely they'd know that. Surely the smartest people, the mocking, but I don't want to say them, but the 3-letter word agencies that do all these things, and surely they would know that. And getting back to where the bridge comes into this, into the spirituality and the faith, they would know that was going to happen. They tested it in the 60s. They had groups that started up, yoga groups, all that stuff. Some of them went good, some of them didn't. And now they've got solid. And there's many, many more groups, spiritual people that believe in many, many different things, all doing the same thing, all putting out good messages, out to the ether, to the universe, to the cosmos, to God, but they all literally do that, all these groups. And I know because I follow so many of these different groups and literally all sorts of subjects. And they all do the same thing. What you think about, you bring about, put it out there. It's the and
right.
more than ever. So there's more people awake to the corruption, and there's more people doing what they should be doing, more people grounding, more people, having intermittent fasting, more people eating well, more people, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad for all those things because they are awesome, but it just seems a bit odd to me because it's not having the effect or the desired effect that we're told it was supposed to have, the exact opposite. And all for it, man. I mean, I would never have met you if it wasn't for all of this nonsense going on.
Right. I mean, exactly. Well, the thing is, go ahead. My bad.
Maybe that's spirit. Maybe that's the divine spirit just working. I don't know, or the source or the universe. Maybe you can't squeeze it that hard. I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out, but sorry to just butt in there, but it's certainly exciting, the communities, the people being built, all with different beliefs in different ways, but all doing the exact same kind of things. So Mike, back to you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, all I was going to say basically is, all we need to do is stop looking at our differences, right? And start focusing on our similarities. Even with this kingdom message, right? If you want to still be religious, I'm not going to not like you. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to, whatever. And I'm not trying to convince you not to be, right? This is what I am. And this is what excites me. And this is what makes sense, right? If you actually read the Bible, this is what makes sense, right? But we can all look at things a little bit differently and still work together to move humanity forward. You know what I mean? No matter what this does or what that does or what this, like I said, if there's 7,000, Christian religions, right? And you go do this while you're at church, and you go do this while you're at church, and you go do this while you're at church. Cool. Why couldn't we all just get together as one big group as well and praise God together? Because I know we all sing songs at our church. I know we all do this at our church. And we know there is a lot of similarities that we do, especially the person that we all worship. Right? So that's as far as like religion and all goes. But as far as people outside of that, right, that are the energy type people and the universe type people and the source type people, right? And I was not one, like I always believed in God, but I've gone through all that, and that's what confused me was the universe type thing and everything. But when you start seeing that this isn't about religious rituals, and it's more about how we are supposed to dominate the earth, how we're supposed to, we should never be dependent on the earth to survive. Yes, I know that sounds crazy. We got to eat and things that are on the earth, but we shouldn't be having to just depend on that. We, like you said, with intermittent fasting and stuff, there's different things that we can do to prepare ourselves. Here's the thing. Imagine waking up in the morning and you don't have to depend on anything in your environment anymore. and you just have the kingdom, right? And like I said, I'm not going to tell you you're not going to eat food from the earth, but you don't have to worry about where you're going to get it from, because you know you're going to get it. You know it's coming. Now, you can't just sit on the bed and do nothing and think that, you know, food's going to end up in front of you, right? I mean, you got to get up at least and go to the refrigerator or whatnot and make it, whatever. But if you need, like, if you're in a spot, right? If you're in a spot right now that you don't know where, like your refrigerator's empty and you don't know where your food is coming from, stop thinking in earthly terms and start thinking in the kingdom terms. You are a kingdom citizen. And when you are a kingdom citizen, as I said, a citizen is not a religious person. A citizen is a legal creature. And to have citizenship is a result of a contract between the government and the people. So if you are a kingdom of heaven citizen, God needs to take care of you. Your king needs to take care of you, because when you're a citizen in a kingdom, your lifestyle is what the king's reputation depends on. The king's reputation depends on your lifestyle as a kingdom citizen. And then when you become a kingdom ambassador, then you basically become property of the kingdom, which to me is powerful. So like my house right now, and you can do this as well, my friends, my house is under the jurisdiction of the kingdom of heaven. I live a kingdom lifestyle. I don't live an earthly lifestyle. And I want to show others how to live a kingdom lifestyle. Believe me, I lived an earthly lifestyle, worried about all kinds of things. I was one of the biggest worriers you'd ever know. I used to call myself a what if person, meaning that I would always go through my mind, what if this would happen? What if that would happen? What if this would happen? What if that would happen? And always what if was bad. Whatever came after what if was bad. It was never like, what if I got $1 million? Or what if I got this? Or what if I got that? It was like, what if there was somebody underneath my bed? What if there was somebody sitting on my couch with a gun in their hand when I walked in the door? What if I don't make enough money to pay my bills? What if, boom, like that's the type of person I was. I worried to death. Like at 12 years old, I can remember back at 12, 13 years old, wondering, I don't know if you'd call it worrying, but wondering if I was going to be able to make enough money when I grew up to be able to take care of a family. Like, why is a 12, 13-year-old even thinking about that? So when I say that when you live a kingdom lifestyle, you don't have to worry anymore, this is coming from a person that used to worry like a nut. There was a time that I got paid every Friday. It was direct deposit at like 12 o'clock at night. So when I woke up in the morning, my paycheck was there. Now, yes, I was working. I was basically working paycheck to paycheck at this time, working for a big old construction company, building hundreds of $1 million buildings and stuff for the military, still working paycheck to paycheck. All right. But so I had pretty much an important job, just they didn't pay me like I was important, right? But probably because I lived as an earthly person, right? So I would wake up in the morning on Friday mornings, and on the way to work, after just getting paid to pay the bills for this week, I was worried about next week. And the kicker is I was guaranteed 40 hours a week on this job. But that's how crazy I was as far as worry goes. God don't want you to worry. Worry comes from the devil. And the devil is an angel, okay? So when you're worrying, you're motivated by the devil, who is an angel. And angels are in awe of us. That's why Matt says that he believes in angels and he's always prayed to angels. Well, if you're praying to the right angels, they're going to do everything they can possibly do, because if you're talking to them, they're in awe of you and they're going to help you because they think that you're freaking that you're awesome. But now the devil hates you, but it's in awe of you, but hates you. And the only thing he can do is manipulate you. That's all the devil can do. He has no power over you. All he can do is manipulate you, meaning that he can't specifically do something to you. He is not a creator. You are the creator. But he uses your worry and your anxieties to make you create what he wants. Once you realize that, the devil should have no power, know nothing over you, and not be able to manipulate you. Your job is just to notice when you start to worry, cast it off to Jesus because he wants it. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for taking this worry away from me. I know that you're going to be there with me at the time that I'm worried about whatever it is I'm worried about. Because see, this is the other thing about worry. When you're worried about something, the devil makes you worry about it and also takes it away that you're going to be doing it, makes you feel that you're going to be doing that something that you're worried about on your own. Well, if you live like I live and you live the kingdom lifestyle, Jesus is with you at all times to help you through anything, right? Jesus is with me right now. The way I believe, most of the stuff that's coming out of my mouth is not even from me. That's how I believe. And I don't want it to be me, because that puts a lot of responsibility on me. But if I allow the flow, some people call it the flow, and I thank God for the flow every day. But if I allow the flow, Jesus to flow through me, God to flow through me, source to flow through me, my friends, I can touch as many lives as watches this, because it's not Christian Suprean, and it takes me out of the picture. I don't have to depend on me anymore. The best and biggest way to please God our Father is to fully depend on him. Imagine, right? Imagine your dad, right? And most dads don't do this because this isn't really the right thing for an earthly dad to do, because a lot of times it screws the child up. But imagine your father saying, your earthly father saying, the best way that you can please me is to fully depend on me. I'll take care of everything that you possibly need. Pretty easy life, right? Well, that's what your creator, your heavenly father, wants to do for you. And that's the best way to please him. Man, that's pretty powerful right there. And then to get back to the kingdom, right? To get back to the kingdom. It says in the Bible, and it's what I was looking for a little while ago while I was still paying attention to you, but I couldn't find it. I don't even know if it's in my notes. But the devil, who is an angel, as I said, but the devil, the only thing that gets the devil excited and makes the devil worry is when he starts hearing people talk about the kingdom. It says in the Bible that the devil will come personally himself when the kingdom message is being taught. Doesn't say that about any other religious message. Doesn't say that about the prosperity message. Doesn't say that about any other message. Because the thing is, a lot of this stuff that religions preach, right, are all possible. But they all come, the source is the kingdom. And then, so that's the kingdom, right? And then to get back to a little bit more about an ambassador, right? An ambassador is the representative, a representative of the highest rank sent by a state to a foreign territory to represent their government. You are when you become a kingdom ambassador, And all you need to do is just want to be a kingdom ambassador, right? And figure out what your purpose is. If you don't know what your purpose is, make that your biggest and best prayer. Thank God in advance for showing you your purpose. Because for a long time, I didn't know what my purpose was. But I can tell you this, I can promise you this. Because I mean, really, for 40 years, it took me about 40 years to figure out my purpose. And really, maybe even like 42, because now I really know what my purpose is, right? But I started figuring it out about 3 years ago. But I tell you this, every piece of the journey that you've been on in life is preparing you for your purpose. So no matter what you're going through right now, know that that is to help you and prepare you for your purpose, right? But so you are the property of the kingdom of heaven when you become a kingdom ambassador. And you were sent here or were put here to represent the kingdom of heaven. I mean, that's powerful, right? That's powerful, my friends. That's powerful. And ambassadors are chosen. They're not elected. But as I said, in 2 Corinthians, which was it? That was loud. 2 Corinthians 5:20, it tells us, we are therefore ambassadors. And we are therefore Christ's ambassadors. And in Philippians 3:19, after he talks about their destiny is destruction and all that, it tells us, but our citizenship is in the kingdom, is in heaven. Our citizenship is in heaven. That's powerful, my friends. That's powerful. So when you become a kingdom ambassador, you are appointed by the king. You are appointed to represent the state. You are committed only to the state's interest, which would be heaven's interest. You embody that state. You embody heaven. You only speak on the government's position. So you only speak on heaven's position. So you don't have to say, right? You don't have to say when somebody asks you, I mean, this is just an easy one. And I have no problem with anybody, right? But when somebody says, what do you think about gays? Well, I don't think anything about gays, right? I don't think anything about homosexuality. But what the kingdom of heaven says, I don't want to say it because I don't want to get anybody upset. But you see what I'm saying, right? You only represent and only speak on the government's position, which would be the kingdom of heaven. You are totally covered by the government when you're an ambassador. So when you're a kingdom ambassador, you're totally covered. You don't have to worry about anything. Because the king is going to take care of you. You're his property. You never become a citizen of the territory that you're assigned. So we've been assigned to the earth, but we're not earthly citizens. We're citizens of heaven. If you choose to be, right? That's the coolest part about this whole thing. On earth in a kingdom, you need to be chosen, right? You need to be chosen to be the ambassador. You need to be chosen to be a citizen. You were already chosen. It's now your choice to start living the kingdom lifestyle, the lifestyle of a kingdom ambassador. You have access to all the wealth and power of that territory, of where you represent, of that kingdom. So we have all the wealth and power. We have access. We don't own it. We have access to all the wealth and power of the kingdom of heaven. We can only be recalled by the king or the ruler. So nobody on earth can say you're not a kingdom ambassador. The king can only do that. Your goal, your main goal is to influence that territory with your government's ideas. So our goal, our mission as kingdom ambassadors is to influence the earth with the kingdom of heaven ideas. So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting to live in heaven? Why aren't we doing it now? You're totally protected by the government. You possess diplomatic immunity, which basically all diplomacy is relations between nations, right? And you must remain in constant contact with the government when you're an ambassador. So like I said, you can't just go to church on Sunday and leave out and not worry about it until the next Sunday or Saturday night when you're deciding what time you go to church the next day. And I'm talking from experience. This is what I used to do, right? Well, I prayed every day, right? But maybe for like 15 minutes a day. And I'm not saying I pray all day, every day now, but I try my best to live a kingdom lifestyle. And everything that happens in my life, I give God the glory. And the more you give God the glory, the more things happen in your life that you can give him the glory for. So when you live as a kingdom ambassador, your life is totally covered by the kingdom of heaven. Make sense, my brother?
Thank you, man. And thank you for answering the question about what is a kingdom ambassador, and also for explaining it wasn't religious. And I got to say, there's a lot of things that you've explained in there. I mean, not everything's the same, but there's a lot of things that I practice on a day-to-day basis through things that I've experienced. I mean, there's a lot of things that are very similar to the attitude of gratitude, the act as if, not act as if, like attracts like. With the act as if thing, I was going to say was right at the beginning, or towards the middle of that, you were saying that when you were younger, you were a what if kid. And I was totally the opposite of that. I was generally known as a weirdo, which I actually told people meant supernatural. I told you that the other day. So that turned its table for me a little bit. But I was, and I'd sit there. What if I become a millionaire? What if I become a billionaire? Like the total opposite, and not in a worry way, just literally thinking those things. And years later, when I discovered things like the law of attraction and, you know, certain things behind the positive thoughts and things like that, I was blown away that I'd used so much of it in my life without realizing it. And there's so much you say there. I mean, the word, when you said flow, that's something that's used quite a lot in many of the communities that, you know, I'll go on their chat groups and things like that. The flow is used so widely, and it's something I use quite a lot in my mind when I'm thinking about it. And a lot of the stuff that I do is natural. So it sounds strange saying this, but it's not natural. It's just happened. I've been practicing some of this stuff for like 10 years plus now. Things like saying thank you out loud, and I do it in my mind. It's just, oh, thank you, you know, and a good thing happens. And I'm talking, it could be little things as well. It could be my kids might have had a good day at school, or I mean, it could be, oh, that was a really tasty coffee, to something really big. And it's just constantly doing that out loud. And it's so interesting hearing about the description there. And there's many similarities, especially with the flow and putting it out there. And, you know, and I'm glad that you did change. And that's obviously your pathway. When you were talking about pathways and everything prepares us, that is definitely a mindset that I have. And for me, there's no other way, because if I hadn't thought that way in my mind, maybe I wouldn't have got as far as I have in life. And I mean by the length of time, not by success or anything. So I'm glad that I do think that way, because I not always, but it sometimes can take a bit of time, but I do get my mindset into the way of, right, well, this is something you can learn from here. And I've had a lot of good people around me who have taught me things, older, wiser people from their experience. And, I totally agree there that life prepares you. And it was interesting you said there about it's been the last couple of years where you found your purpose, because for me, it kind of has too, really just before this nonsense kicks off in the world. And really for me, it's just being myself 100% and just doing as much help as I can. And that falls in line with the flow, and it's more of a natural thing. I try and be in balance as much as possible. Every morning I do a routine, every single morning without fail. And it changes. It's not the same routine every day. It's just something to put my mind in the right source, that energy. And it's just so interesting that there's many, many things that you said there that are similar to what I practice on a day-to-day. So, looks like in a tricky kind of way, that kingdom, that source, that divine energy snuck through the the guards and has literally spread everywhere. So that's really good, because there's a lot of groups I follow that say a lot of the things that you were saying there, for sure, and they either call it source or flow, and that's very interesting. Some of them are really large groups as well. That was very interesting for me and inspiring as well, that there's so many people doing that. And thank you again for explaining that to me. And just imagine, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't even ask that question. So encouragement to anyone else who's watching this, if you've got a question, ask somebody, because I did feel a little bit, oh, is this the right question to ask? Or, I'll be very, very sincere about that. And I thought, no, if you don't ask, you're not going to find out the information. So that's exactly why I asked that. And then we got into other subjects and decided to do this. But it's encouraging. It's encouraging. And it's strange, because when you think about it, it's exactly the point of religion, splitting things up. The way you described it, like I said, not everything, I don't agree with everything, but most of the things in there are what I personally practice and do, and all these other groups practice and do, and they all call it a different thing, but that's the main thing, the main element that's literally been taken away from all religious groups when you look at it. And yet that's the component, the key, I suppose, that actually connects you to source, God, divine, and that's the bit that's never taught. You're not singing about that in hymns when you're younger. I think they don't even teach anything about God anymore in most schools now. But they don't teach you that part.
A lot of religions, and what I always got out of from religion was, and like I said, I'm not coming down on any religious people. I'm not trying to cause division. I'm not trying to do any of that, right? But in all of my experience, it was all about living this life that, for one, you didn't have any power, right? It was nothing that, and the thing is, when I talk about having power, it's power through, like, it's not Christian Suprean having power. It's power because I can use that flow, right? I have God working through me, or I have, the Holy Spirit working through me, right? But it doesn't teach that. It teaches you to do all these rituals and say all these things and whatever. But the last thing, and then we can move on to something different. But the last thing I want to say about the kingdom, right, is the prayer that Jesus gave us, the Our Father. And what do we say in that, right? We say, Our Father, who art in heaven, who is in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Holy is his name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. So his kingdom comes and his will will be done on earth. That's where we're at, as it is in heaven. As it is in heaven. We say that in our prayer. And I said it my whole freaking life and had no idea what it meant until now. But it's in what Jesus told us to pray is Jesus told us to pray for the kingdom of heaven and God's will to be done here on earth as it is in heaven. To me, that's saying we're supposed to be living the kingdom lifestyle, the heaven lifestyle here on earth. But like I said, it's got to be a lifestyle. It can't be some willy-nilly here and there, and then you're doing crazy, wild stuff all the time, right?
I like that, I like that. It's like practice what you preach, isn't it, I suppose? But
right.
I
like
that.
I mean, about the lifestyle itself is it's really most all of us, right? Most all of us that were, and you were born with a given spirit. Now, it could be taken away, just like, people talk about racism is taught. Well, of course, you could teach anything, right, to anybody, right? But nobody's born with a mean spirit, or you're born with a given spirit. You're born wanting to help, right? You're born basically a normal, happy person for the most part, right? Now, it's your environment that can take you a whole different route, but we're all born with a given spirit. So if we're all born with a given spirit, and this is kind of going to what you're talking about, like different, why can't we just come together, not worry about our differences, and start focusing on our similarities and move humanity forward with our given spirit, right? No matter if, but you have to live that type of kingdom lifestyle, or that type of lifestyle that you're not hurting others, right? You're not trying to help here, but you're hurting over there. And some people will get confused about like some of the videos I do when I call out different things that the government does and stuff. Oh, that's not, godly, or yes, it is. You were told to call out the liars. You have to call out the people that are corrupt. Right? But if we all move forward and live that lifestyle of trying to move humanity forward, meaning that you're not taking from this one to help this one, like stealing, not, if you're asking for donations, whatever, but you know what I mean, right? You can't have any hate in your heart, right? You have to be full of love, moving forward, and then basically whatever you ask will be done for you, because you're going to be on that mission that God sent you here for. And once you're on that mission, he's not going to deny you doing whatever it is that you need to do. He's going to give you what you need, right? If you have a little hoopty of a car or messed up car right now, and all of a sudden you start having something comes into your life and you got to start bringing people different places, most probably, or when you start living this way, a better vehicle will be put in your life. Not most probably, it will be. Right? So that's just how you got to start living. And, and really, like I said, it's just being a good freaking person. You know what I mean? It's not going out doing this, that, and all these crazy things, which a lot of us do. And I did. I judged for so long. There was times that I used to go to church And I'd be in church and not even know people, but I'd see this one with this one or this, and things would start running in my head. Like I'd be judging them. Like, what am I judging these people for? You know, and not saying that, but just try to help, right? Just be there to help people. That's the lifestyle. That's the kingdom lifestyle. Is trying to move humanity forward in every possible way that you can. You there?
Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, sorry. It just froze then. I was just frozen. That's just awesome, man. And like I said, it's hard not for me to keep saying that it's exactly the same as Source, but you know, and the attraction stuff and all that, but it is. It's just the same, man. And
right.
For me, I've tried all sorts of ways. I really have. You know, not all of the ways, but I've tried lots of different ways. And this is the only way that works for me is by being the best version of me. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to make mistakes, because I do. But definitely in the last 2 years, I've made the least amount of mistakes in my whole life. And I'm glad about that. And I just trying to do my best. And it's so strange how so much of it that I do, not naturally because I've practiced it, is so in line with things that you've just said there. And I'm pretty sure in lots of different faith circles, it'd be the same, where everything correlates. So, you know, good message. And I am hoping that a lot of people, and they are, you know, we can see it. There's a lot more community feel around the world, no matter what they'd like you to think in the mainstream media. It's, you know, there's a lot more people awake. There's a lot more community in the world. There's a lot more people interacting with each other. That's a good sign. That's good hope. And, you know, generally from my experience, you know, we may feel like we're surrounded sometimes by, you know, all this nonsense and chaos, but there seems to be good things growing out of it. And definitely people being in touch with themselves, being in touch with Source, being in touch with, you know, God, being in touch, doing good things for humanity. That's definitely grown, for sure. For sure. People have got a new love for each other, a new love for themselves. So it's encouraging. It really is. It absolutely is, man. And thank you so much again for answering that, for real.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for asking it, because by you asking it and us doing this, I felt I've somewhat tried to explain it in different ways. Now, I know this is a lot longer than most of my videos, you know, or all of my videos really that I do, but this is how to explain it. And just to kind of cap it off, right? If you want to become a kingdom ambassador, if you want to become guided, right? Because I feel that I'm guided, right? And to me, there's no other better way to feel than that you're guided. Because if you're guided, that, like I said before, kind of takes responsibility off of you. You know what's coming into your thoughts are not just coming from anywhere, right? Which that's where the devil will attack you a lot of times, is just right there in your thoughts, right? And I mean, just surrender, right? Surrender to God. Just tell him, God, I surrender to you. Please guide my life. And I mean, I thank him every day for guiding my life, right? And tell him you want to be a kingdom ambassador. Just talk to him, right? Talk to him. He may not listen to you, right? I mean, you may not get the answer right away, but I'm telling you, it'll come from somewhere. It'll come from a stranger. It'll come from a song. It'll come from a feeling. It'll come from a thought that comes, and you'll know, though. You'll know when that answer is. And then when you get it, like I said before, thank him. Just like Matt was saying, when little things, man, like this is how, I mean, and people might think this is crazy, right? But just the other day, I'm leaving out of my neighborhood, all right? And I needed to be somewhere at a certain time. I left a little bit late. And a lot of times when I'm leaving out of my neighborhood, I got to sit there for about 2 or 3 minutes and wait for the vehicles to go both ways before I can cross and get in, you know, get on the highway. Well, the other day, I didn't have to wait. I get to the front of the neighborhood and there's nobody coming either way. And boom, I just, boom, get on the highway and start going. And I said, thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, God. Right? And a lot of people look at that as nothing. Like as nothing just happened. That it just so happened that nobody was coming. But I look at that as a gift. And when you start looking at things as gifts, and the more you start giving the glory for those gifts, the more your king wants to give you gifts. And they become bigger and bigger and better. But even those little gifts like that will still fill your heart with love and just excitement. Because you know where they're coming from. And there's no better gift than a gift from God, in my opinion. Does that make sense, brother?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And like I said, it's weird. It's weird how I do all of that stuff. And I've just been doing it from copying faith books, religious books, law of attraction books, just different things. But it's the gratitude. That's the biggest one, man. The gratitude, and just changing the little things you do can really help. And, you know, I know you're obviously a kingdom ambassador. But for me, it's strange how there's so many of us that I'm not a kingdom ambassador, but I suppose in some ways I am, because I do the things that you described there. So you could actually say, well, he is, because he does those things. And I could say, well, Christian is spiritual because he does the same things as the spiritual group. And I'm just fascinated by how many people are doing these things. I really am. And I'm not surprised that it's just not the part that's been taught. I know I said that a few minutes ago, but imagine that. I mean, I read something, I don't know when, but it said, I think it was a yogi or somebody like that said, if you taught meditation to school children within a generation or 10 years or something, there'd be world peace, which is quite a profound statement to make. But when you think of the things you're discussing here, the things that I'm saying that I practice, the things that I know other people practice, they're all the exact same thing. It's all a good thing. It's all helping people, helping yourself, helping each other's, working with each other. And yet it's not taught at school. It's not taught at school, whether it was from the Bible or not the Bible. It's that kind of thing is just not taught at school. And it definitely wasn't taught as part of the Bible. You're saying these things that are in the Bible, you know.
But they're not focused on. All the kingdom stuff is in the Bible. It's just not focused on by any teachers that I've followed. I just wanted to make sure it is in the Bible, because some people are like, it is in the Bible. Yeah, it's all throughout the Bible. It's just that not many religious teachers or any teachers focus on the kingdom. Like,
and yet you look at it, like these other groups as well that I keep bringing up as well, because I have to, because they teach these same things. Now, for an Indian yogi or someone who believes in what a yogi believes in, to them, it's 100% the truth. And guess what? You see at the top of that pile is the source. Both your string and their string reaches the source. All of these strings keep reaching the source. And that's the fascinating part for me. That is the fascinating part for me. And hopeful part, I would say, because there's a lot more of us than what we thought across the world, kingdom ambassadors, spiritual people, source people. And I can't not bring it back to that, because, you know, I've got a lot of Indian friends, I've got a lot of Hindu friends, I've got friends from all races, all religions. I genuinely have. Most of my life I've been like that. And it fascinates me. There's stuff you've told me in private when we've chatted on the phone, and that my Hindu friend told me 22 years ago. Honestly, to do with food, to do with, it's just something spreading here. Call it divine spirit, call it God, call it energy, call it ether, call it source, call it flow. I love flow. That's my favorite one. But it doesn't matter what you call it.
Flow. I love the flow.
It's good when it's flowing, and when you're in the flow and you're like boom and all that. You know, I love my booms, but call it whatever you want to. But I believe it's happening, man. Something's happening. Something good underneath all this. You know, maybe I'm just a romantic with that, or you know, a hopeful believer in it, but I don't know, it just seems that, here's my experience, whenever something's been rubbish, no matter how hard I've tried, it stopped somehow or another. It stopped. When something's been difficult, but I'm meant to continue, and it does become something else later, it keeps going. When something's rubbish or difficult and it sometimes doesn't go well, but it still continues me, generally it brings me onto something else. I mean, these are all very, I don't know, are they evangelistic kind of a way of being? I don't know. It's just me, it's just Matt. That's how I see it. And, you know, this keeps going. We're all keeping going right now. You know, I don't know, man. It's so far, it seems like this is going to turn good, all of it in some way, shape or form. But like I said, I might just be hopeful and a believer, but I do believe that deep down. I do believe that. And these conversations, and, you know, there's so many of these. I talked about other people in my video I did, different people that have slightly different beliefs on some things, sharing the same main truths, doing the same things. That's exactly what this is as well. There's so many examples of this. And this is what whoever they are, don't like to name them, but this is what they don't want.
Exactly.
Yet, let me say something. This is the exact thing that was always going to happen if you did the things that have just been done to the world. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like, if I'm being serious, like logically, if you were a squat, you know, I know there was that thing you can't mention, that there was a practice run for all this, but I'm pretty sure there's going to have clever people who have sat there and gone, if we do this, these certain things will happen. And this, people coming together, people sharing their ideas, people having different beliefs but the same main truths, surely they would have pinpointed that to be a factor, that this would have happened. You'd think, or am I just giving them too much credit? I don't know. But, you know, you're talking about people that have pulled some of the biggest operations in the world, and that's just the ones we know about. So you're telling me that they wouldn't know that this would happen? I mean, part of me thinks, you know, sometimes I let my mind wander. I have a little, you know, philosophize to myself. Part of me thinks that this is all meant to happen, that it's part of a plan to make people more aware of their spiritual side. You know, maybe that's the hopeful romantic in me again. The other part thinks that doesn't matter what happens with this, it's going to flip the other way anyway, you know, because you can't. And there's another part of me that thinks that, you know, you've heard these sayings before, sometimes you have to break something up to re-put it back together again better. You know, it's just, to me, there's a lot of sus things here, and there's a lot of good things that have happened from this, the communities, the people building, as I said before, and all of these conversations that are happening right now, and especially in the last 3 or 4 weeks, there's a lot more of these happening between, you know, two different people that have a different belief. They're discussing their ideas. Then you're finding out that they share the same main truth. So I keep saying it because it's the truth. You, all the other people I've mentioned in the last video, more happening all the time. I don't know, that just doesn't seem like an accident to me. but that's kind of the way my brain is. You know, I am hopeful, positive and all those things, but I'm also very suspicious due to environment as well of things. And I'm sitting here logically thinking, surely they'd know this would happen. Someone would have known this would happen, that it's going to create a larger portion of the exact thing that they could have crushed easier. Right. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's my suspicious brain talking there, so I don't want to go too, but it like all of this happening, and it's been happening for a while. If you look back the last 10, 15 years, there's been a lot more promotion about thinking for yourself, the power of now, all these kind of things. Crushing down of religion, but keeping free thought going. And I don't know, man, if you take all this nonsense aside for a second, it's kind of been gradually getting that way anyway, when more and more people have been getting in touch with themselves, in touch with Mother Nature, Earth, spiritual sides, you know. So, and this has just escalated it a bit further, I think. So I know maybe I am sounding a bit too suspicious there, but it does seem to me that this would always have happened if you crush people. Surely if you start to crush humanity in the world and, you know, lock them down and whatnot, they're going to reach more for community and helping each other and spiritual side of things. And that's exactly what happened. And more communities are going to join and share ideas. You would think, I mean, I know it's easy to say that now because that's what's happening, but surely the clever ones who, you know, do all these projects and these things where they say, oh, this could happen, projections, that's it, where they do these projections, surely they would have said that would have happened, you know. But anyway, that's my suspicious mind going off on one there on a little tangent. But I'm glad that it's happened. I'm glad that people are sharing in communities. I'm glad that there seems to be less fighting. I mean, I don't know whether you heard this, but I was watching the Timcast, Tim Pool clip a few weeks back or a week or so ago, and they were actually saying that Trump supporters and BLM supporters were marching together against the government. And I was like, wow, you know.
Yeah,
So
that did happen. I can't remember where it was. It might have been in Georgia somewhere. But I mean, the thing is,
it's gonna happen, isn't
I
it?
think what you're explaining, without actually saying it, is the awakening, right? The Great Awakening or the Awakening. And I think that was inevitable, right? I believe that it was inevitable. And I think that these people, they, right, that you talk about, knew it was inevitable. And all they could do was do everything in their power for it not to happen. So they really went hard with the media. They really went hard with celebrities. They really went hard with race, you know, to try to expose. Like, they thought we were so stupid, right? They thought their whole goal over this, however long it's been, was to make us distracted and stupid. I was distracted for a long time. I understood what was happening with the government, but I thought I've been thinking the government was against us, or they just chose whoever we wanted. And then, you know, since early 2000s, basically when the Bush thing happened. And then once, nothing to do with his race, right? But once a guy named Barack Hussein Obama got elected and then started doing the things that he was doing, I was like, they're 100% against us. This is, and people wouldn't think about it. People wouldn't, you know, they didn't listen to me. But what I did was I was totally distracted by sports and by music. I listened to a bunch of music that I probably just shouldn't have been listening to, but I really liked it. And I, you know, knew all the words and all this kind of thing, right? And in sports, I mean, you could call me up and I could tell you stats from 5 years ago of certain games and things. Like, I was so distracted, right? But so they thought, I believe that they thought that they were going to be able to distract us and that we would follow the stars, you know, and all this kind of thing. But they didn't realize that we were going to start actually thinking for ourselves. And a lot of us had already started thinking for ourselves, but distracted us. Let's just use the sports, for instance, right? When LeBron James, and I'm kind of ashamed to say this now, but LeBron James was one of my favorite athletes ever. Other than Michael Jordan, he was like my favorite athlete ever, right? I started following LeBron James. They put him on ESPN when he was a junior in high school. I watched his first game, and like the first time I watched a game of his on ESPN was when he was a junior in high school. So I followed this dude his whole career. Well, then things started happening. Trump got elected. I started waking up. I started realizing what I was feeling was true. I started to get rid of the distractions, do a little more research on my own. And then LeBron James goes on Don Lemon, and Don Lemon says, and Don Lemon is a CNN.
Oh, I know who Don Lemon is, mate.
He's a CNN analyst. He goes on, he gets interviewed by Don Lemon, and Don Lemon asks LeBron James, what would you do, or what would you say to President Trump? This was when Trump was the president. What would you say to President Trump if you got to sit down at a table with him? And LeBron James said, I wouldn't even sit at the same table with the man. Well, right there, instead of being distracted and thinking like they thought I would follow the stars, they thought I'd follow my favorite athlete. Right there, when I heard that, I was like, this dude has been my favorite the whole time. Like, he's not even a leader. Like, any leader of any community, of anything, would want to go sit down with a leader, especially the leader of the free world, to try to get on the same page and work together.
Yeah,
well, you couldn't even go sit down with the leader of the free world of the United States of America. You said you wouldn't even go sit down with him? That was to try to make people follow LeBron James and say, oh my gosh, this dude's terrible. I'll never even think to listen to anything he said. But instead, it woke a lot of people like me up to know that LeBron James was on the wrong side of the fence. And made me dig even more. You see? So I think that this is all a part of the awakening that was coming anyway, and they just did everything in their power to stop it from coming. Like they're doing everything in their power to stop them, like to stop us from waking up and realizing that, you know, what's really going on and that these people are corrupt. And, you know, also realize, kind of like you've been saying this whole time, it doesn't matter if I think it's the kingdom, you think it's source, and you think it's this. Yes, I believe 100% that it's kingdom. I believe that. I would like for everybody to believe that. But guess what? I'm not going to be against you if you don't. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to show you by my lifestyle why I may be right. Right? But I'm not going to come and throw it down your throat. The kingdom's right. Your angel thing's wrong. This is wrong. That's wrong. Source is wrong. But because everything is everything, basically, right? Kind of like you said, it all ends up with that same truth for the most part.
You know, that's exactly what Michael Francis says, like what you said there as well. He says that, it's up to everybody else whether they want to believe or not, but he passes on that message. Like that's what he's doing. He's passing it on because, you know, it's a good message, and he says it's all about how you live your life. And, you know, I'm glad for people passing a message. And like you say, you know, everybody, that is a very small difference. That is possibly one of the smallest differences when I'm thinking about it that I've ever come across. That you call it kingdom of God, somebody else calls it source, somebody else calls it God, somebody else calls it divine, somebody else calls it flow. Do you see what I mean? That is possibly the smallest difference I've ever heard explained. When you think about it, when you actually think about it, it's just a name.
And you see, this is the thing. That's why I believe, right? And now this is going to sound weird, like kind of against what I just said, but that's why I believe the devil took the kingdom out of everybody's head, out of everybody's teaching, out of the church teaching, out of everything, because I believe that the kingdom is where all of that comes from, is the source. You know what I mean? Like I believe that that's where it all originates from, and that's why it's been removed by the powers that be and by whoever else, because that is the truth. But if you're not on that level yet, or never get there, I love you, and we could still work together. And, you know, because just like you said, I'm not a kingdom ambassador. Well, in your head, you might not be a kingdom ambassador, but what you're doing every single day, in my head, you are a kingdom ambassador, because that's just my thought process, right? But does that make sense?
100%. Absolutely. So, and, you know, something else as well, the good thing about all of these differences that I've noticed is, and it's not just to do with faith either, it's to do with other subjects as well. Most people, when they have a difference, do exactly what you said there, or very similar. They're happy for other people. They're not pushy. They're saying, hopefully one day you do think like that, but well, you don't. What's the word? It's they're accepting of other people. It's the exact opposite again that they want you to do. They don't want you to be accepting. That's why they take a small portion of something and radicalize it and extreme it. And I'm not surprised when you mentioned about LeBron James and all that, and it turning. And you know what? Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Maybe I am, when I'm saying that this is all part of it. And, you know, maybe I am giving them too much credit and not giving enough credit to the good flow or the good force or the good energy that just can't be kept down. It seems, you know, it just cannot. I mean, you know,
I think they got complacent. They thought we were stupid, and it made them way stupider than we are. Things that they do. I mean, I don't know. Just like what I made the video on yesterday, bro. How, I mean, I know this doesn't really affect you, right? But I mean, you understand it. How in the world would a president that when there's people losing their jobs all across the country, inflation's going insane and everything like this, and this dude is going to say that he's going to, their administration is talking about giving criminals, people that came into our country illegally, $450,000 a piece at that, not even per family, a piece. Like, how could anybody? I mean, I don't know how anybody, unless you're an illegal immigrant, could be okay with that. How could anybody on any side of the fence, of any religion, of any source, thought process, of any political party process, think it would be okay with all these Americans that are actually losing their jobs or quitting their jobs, or they're, you know, the price of gas is insane. We used to pay $1.69 and now we're paying almost $3.50 here. Well, no, it's like $3.20 here now. And other places are paying like over $5 and $6 in certain places of America. I mean, that's a
Wow.
bigger tax than anything, but we're going to give people that came into the country illegally, like you were saying before we even got on this live earlier. You just got to figure out how to get here, and they'll take care of you. And then
Dude, I'm coming
the
to
thing that's
Mexico.
crazy, and I don't really want to go into too much political right now, but for you to say that you can't fly really anywhere into the United States, but you can fly into Mexico, pretty much blew my mind. I didn't think of that. I didn't even think even looking into it. So if you can fly into Mexico, that's only because that's what they want all these people to do, is to fly into Mexico and come walk across our border.
Bro, I'm thinking about doing it, and I'm not joking, man. Not to be an illegal immigrant, but to just go to Florida to get a holiday, man. Because as long as I can walk back over Mexico to get my flight back, but that sounds like an absolute. I'm going to be looking into that, man, because
Well, I
because
mean,
as far as
Florida's
I'm
a
aware,
long way from Mexico, so you'll have to, I guess
get
you
a
can,
taxi,
huh?
get a taxi cab,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to
meet me at
talk
the
about
border.
that offline. But still, I mean, I see what you're saying, man, and it's but that's crazy. But I don't know,
Bro,
man. You got anything else left? I think we kind of.
yes, yeah, I got something really funny for you
All
to
right, what
link
you
in
got?
with your president. So, not just your president, lots of other leaders. So, some people may have heard about this COP26 summit that they're having for climate change now. They're all flying into Scotland for this. Now, this apparently happened. So, Joe Biden has apparently done, it's about climate change and not, using up energy and all that, because, they're all for all that propaganda. But anyway, he flew Air Force One in as a test run without anyone on it, as a test run, just to make sure everything was okay. Flew Air Force One back, and now they're flying back in again to Scotland. And apparently there's something like 85 cars as part of his entourage when he was in Italy. This is just a day or so ago. And they were flown in also, apparently. So they're going for a climate change meeting, and yet they're using, I don't know,
Right. So
10, 20.
allegedly, they're going to talk about climate change and try to figure out how to stop using fossil fuels when they're using all the fossil fuels possible, actually pre-testing the fossil fuel plane that's that's yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These people
Bro,
have become stupid, and they think that we're stupider than they are. But it's just so obvious that we can point this stupid stuff out, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that this is just the awakening, bro. And like all of us, God's children, we the people, however you want to look at us, right, are awakening, while the people that sold out, the devil's minions, the Satan worshipers, however you want to look at them, are deteriorating and are losing because they have no power. They were only able to use our power that we have. We have creative power. And that's what they use the media for. Because if you wake up every morning and you watch something that tells you the world sucks all day, no matter if it's fake or not, if they tell you the world sucks, right? Then how is your life going to be? Your life's going to suck because you're thinking you're living in a place that sucks. And
100%.
you create it. That's the thing. And that's what they use the media for. That's what they use all this freaking scare tactics for, because they have no power. But now that we're waking up and really starting to figure out how to use our power, no matter if it's coming, if you think it's coming from the kingdom, or if you think it's coming from the source, or if you think it's coming from the flow, or wherever you think it's coming from, but we're now using our power for good, my friends, we the people, God's children, are the majority by far. It's not even close. These people have nothing. Just to say something real quick about the majority. There is a song, you know about the Let's Go Brandon thing, right? I'm sure everybody knows about Let's Go Brandon. Well, as of yesterday, the top 5 songs on iTunes was all named Let's Go Brandon by different different artists. The top 5 songs on iTunes, a platform that they control, they could not control not to have the top 5 songs named Let's Go Brandon. My friends, we are the majority, and we have the power to create, and we have the power to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth, to bring good to earth, to bring humanity forward in every which way possible, no matter if that's ascending or whatever it is, whatever it's called, right? But we, the people, when we come together and realize our true power, have all the power, and nobody can mess with us. And as I said before, the devil is an angel who is in awe of you. He may hate you, but he's in awe of you. He's jealous of you. That's what happened to Lucifer. Lucifer wasn't jealous of God like religion taught me. Lucifer was jealous of what God gave you. Lucifer was jealous of what God gave Adam, which was God breath and dominion over this world, over this earth, and the creative ability that we have. Angels don't have that. Realize that now, and realize how powerful you are, my friends. You got something to take us out, my brother?
Bro, that was epic, man. I got all what you call God bumps. I got source bumps or flow bumps there. And I want to say, like, that happens to me with a lot of people as well, man, that I'm talking to, sometimes online, sometimes face to face. But you're talking about something, you're like, oof, that was a good zone to be. But, bro, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me come on your podcast again. And thank you for answering your question. And we covered quite a lot of different things here, man, today. So thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Really do. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. And we were maybe going to break this up. I'm going to watch it. I have a feeling that this is all going to have to be one deal, but I'm going to see if there's a place to break this up. But my friends, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all. If y'all are still here, let me know y'all made it to the end. But y'all have a phenomenal day. This has been Christian and Matt just coming together, bringing a positive, powerful message to y'all. Where we go one, we go all. Y'all be blessed.